For a Crown is a deck building game in which players will control groups of anthropomorphic animals, and they will use game effects to collect coins, to collect rubies especially. At the end of the game, the player with the most rubies wins the game. Now, I said that this is a deck building game, which it is, but the plot twist is that all the cards that we buy during the game are placed in a shared deck. How does that work? Thanks to card sleeves. Suppose that I am the monkey, so then I have these card sleeves here, and so when I buy a card, I place it in there. If I'm playing as the alligator, maybe a crocodile, I'm not an herpetologist, then I sleeve my cards in these sleeves here, and so that's how it works. After we buy our cards, we place them in a shared deck, and then we draw them. We also have standard events that will go in the deck together with the cards that the players buy. You start with these two are used in every game, and then other ones will be added, and they may or may not go in every game. So, a couple of other things. Here we have a display that indicates our reputation. There will be game effects that will move our family portrait. And when you move the portrait, you can move it to the next available space on the left or on the right. If I'm the bunny here and I go on the right, it will be there. If I go on the left, it'll go there. Then there will be an event that, when triggered, will check where our portraits are. You may have to pay rubies. Well, when this card is drawn from the general deck, you pay rubies. You may be in the area where you need to pay 2 rubies, or the area where you need to pay 1, or the area where you're safe. That's why you want to move your portrait, and you want to move other people's portraits. Then we have the display from which we're going to buy cards, otherwise it's not a deck building game. We have 3 types of basic cards, and these are face-up decks. They're all the same, these 3. And then we have these other decks with multiple cards shuffled together. And from each of these, we're going to place 2 face-ups. So these 2 come from that deck, these 2 from that deck, and so on and so forth. And we have increasingly powerful effects, because we need to pay different costs, and so these ones are more expensive than these ones. You place these 3 cost tiles here, there at the beginning of the game, and then after you play the first round, you add one of these 3 tiles to the left, shifting down the cost. So actually, the first round, only these 3 columns are available, because that one doesn't have a cost yet. The second round, this column is available also, and these now are free. Third round, all cards are available. And fourth round, all cards are available, and they are much cheaper. And again, at the end of the 4th round, you check and see who is the player with the most rubies. Each player has a chest such as this one, so it's very nice because you can also use them to store components. And in your chest, you will have a heirloom representing your family. There's the monkey, for example. It's also worth 10 points at the end of the game if you still have it, and you place 10 rubies in there at the beginning of the game. And you want to keep your wealth secret from other players. So you got your money, your rubies, and your heirloom. You got your sleeves. Everything is ready to go. So how does it work? Again, each turn we start by buying cards. So each round we start by buying cards, and the first round only each player buys 2, spending the corresponding amount of money. And then again, we place them in the shared deck. The effects may allow me to force a player to discard a ruby, or I can move a portrait, any portrait, including myself. I may collect coins or rubies. Usually you will want to play costs with coins, but you can always pay with a ruby instead. However, rubies are worth points at the end of the game, coins are not. The raccoons. When I use that effect, I can place a raccoon in front of another player, and there will be an event card here that forces the player with the most raccoons in front of themselves to discard 2 rubies and then also discard all their raccoons. And we have other effects. An effect allows you to roll this die, which has several effects, which are pretty self-explanatory by now. Force somebody to discard 2 rubies, move 2 portraits, give somebody a raccoon, collect a ruby, this sort of things. I mean, these are the basic effects. Pretty much send raccoons out, collect coins, collect rubies, or force people to discard rubies, move the portraits. It's just that there are more of those icons on these other cards here than on these. We buy 2 cards, again, or 1, in rounds after the first, shuffle them all together, and then start revealing and flipping. So, oh, it's my card, for example, and I get to move my portrait. Oh, we flip. Oh, it's my card again. I get to collect a ruby. Thank you very much. Oh, it's your card now, and now you send a raccoon my way. Oh, it's somebody else's card now, and they collect a coin, and so on and so forth. Of course, the rounds become increasingly longer because you have a thicker deck in later turns, but it's never too long. This is the idea. You play the game, building the general deck, resolving the actions in the general deck until the end of round 4. At that point, the player with the most rubies wins the game. The components for the game are excellent. I love the art. It's really cute and charming. I think some of these characters I've seen it in the movie Sing. And look at this. The boxes are very cool. And also look how they fit perfectly nice and snug inside the main box. So then you just add the display for the reputation, the rule book, and you're good. Then when you need to set up the game, give each player a box, take out the box with the cards, and take out the box with the tokens. So very nice. I guess they put so much effort into storage also to kind of like make up for the fact that at the end you do have to spend some time to take out all of the cards on the sleeves as you reset the game. But that turned out to be less annoying than I thought. Maybe because you're going to have at least 3 players, and so share the joy, share the fun. It wasn't a problem. Now, this is interesting. The box says tricky and low blows included, and there are a couple of jokes in the production here about, be mean to your family, be mean to your friends. But it turned out to be, although that is an element, there is a confrontational element, I found the game to be a lot more relaxed than I expected. Possibly because everybody forces people to lose stuff all the time. Everybody gives people raccoons all the time. Everybody forces people to discard rubies all the time. In a certain sense, it becomes strictly business. It's not personal because you're going to do it to a lot of people. Most importantly, you're probably going to spread out the joy, the love, so to speak, because ultimately I want to win. I don't want to be better than this one person and allow the other person to run away with all the rubies and stuff. So actually it turns out that the game has a significant diplomatic element as people will constantly try to form coalitions and convince somebody else to send the raccoon away from themselves and against somebody else. But ultimately, again, I can convince A to send the raccoons to B only so many times before A starts catching up, and then I become the target. So it's the love and the attacks and the raccoon attacks and the discarding of rubies. Probably most groups is gonna stay even. And the general mechanism of shuffling the cards together, making a single deck, so you don't know when you're coming, when your turn is coming up, you don't know when you're gonna go, and you can again wait and play around that. Like, okay, I promise that when it's my turn, when my card comes up, I will not force you to discard the rubies and stuff like that. That's part of the fun, that there is a random element there. But it really is a game which is all about the negotiation, at least for me. and I found it particularly enjoyable. Yes, I think it is a family game because again, you're gonna everybody's gonna be targeted all the time. I played it with my family, so it's not a general like this is not just an hypothesis. It worked with my family, and there were no hard feelings at the end, which is pretty good, pretty good. So. It's a simple game. It's an interesting twist on the deck building idea. It really is a negotiation diplomacy game around a deck building game because ultimately I found that again convincing people to use their effects in certain ways was a lot more important for the outcome than just buying that card rather than that card. In the aggregate is what the group does that matters. And so I found it to be a fun, light, simple negotiation slash diplomatic game with excellent components and really cute art. So fun for a crown has proven to be a fun family game.